Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Margaret Adenikbekun, and today I'm basically going to be telling my admission story. So it's story time. This is the first time I'm doing a story time on my channel, and I'm so excited because I actually love telling stories. What sparked this decision was the video I posted last week where I showed my result throughout university, and I spoke about how to handle difficult courses, lecturers, and I got a couple of comments that were like, "Oh, this is motivating. This is that," and the slingshot theory just hit me. And I was taking her back to where I started from. Right, it hasn't always been like this, and in fact, getting into school was, a little bit of a hassle. I know some people had you words, but yeah, I'll basically tell my story today. And that's it. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and let's get right into it. In junior school, like I used to be very average student, right? Like I was not smart, but I was not the least. I would be somewhere in the middle. So I think the junior school I attended were like 30 something in our class, like I think 35 or so in a class, and I'll be like 13th position. I was always like somewhere in the middle. And you know what's interesting? I cannot remember myself from just 1 to just 3 getting anything more than or less than 13th position. Like maybe I got 14, 34, maybe I got 12, but I just remember getting only 13. And I'm sure that's because I got 13th for many terms. The school I attended in junior school, I attended St. Francis Catholic Secondary School, by the way. Um, we were so many, like in GS1, that was like GS1 A to H. So you can imagine one class, they're like 30 something students, and they're like 8 or 7 arms. Yeah, we were that many, and it was not a federal school. So that was it was just average. Even junior school, when we will write this basic examination stuff for GS3, I remember the mock exam that we did in GS3. I failed the mock, right? So I had to like do receipts for mock before they were confident that okay, now you can take the real examination. And so basically my point is I'd always just been somewhere in the middle, and just somewhere there. When I got into senior secondary school, I changed my school. I moved to OAUIS, that's the International School of Obafemi Awolowo University, right? So in SS1, I became a boarder, right, because of distance. So it was a lot for me, like having to adjust to boarding life, prep. So I was always dozing in prep, always sleeping. I was bad at mathematics, right? I was. It was just a lot for me, trying to get used to everything, the environment, the system, the subjects, and all. So I was promoted on trial. And to be promoted on trial means that you will be allowed to get into SS2, but if you failed first term, you return back to SS1. So it's like, okay, let's give her a shot at it instead of just telling her to repeat straight away. So when I got into SS2 first time, I knew, I had to pull off my sleeves and get to work, right? So I didn't want to repeat SS1. I did not want to go back. So obviously, I put in effort. I started sleeping in the afternoon so that during night prep, I'd be awake. I started utilizing all my preps, like morning prep, I will study, afternoon prep, because we had just finished classes, and also I'd be tired, so I'll just like use that time to do my assignments or write note or any other thing I had to do that was not reading. Then after prep, I'll sleep. The night prep, I will read and all of that. So I started reading so well that people start, when you read to the point that everybody knows, they start giving you names like Jaka, all those kind of stuff. Now obviously I didn't go back to SS1, and it was real because when we resumed SS2 second term, I knew, a few people that were brought back to my class from SS3. I knew a few people that were taken away from my class to SS1. So it was not like a mouth kind of stuff. It was something that they would have actually done if I had failed that first time. I became a better student. I really knew our grades, like in terms of ranking in secondary school, but I'm confident that if they were to pick top 10, I would definitely be among the top 10. So when we go into SS3, you know, you write mock jam before the actual jam. And when we wrote mock jam, the average result was so good. Like, I'm talking about generally, almost everybody did very well. And then I saw my own and it was like 250 something, I think 254. 254 is not a bad jam score per se, don't get me wrong, but it felt like for the standards that I had already been setting or that I had set for myself, and for the kind of person that people were already knowing me to be, it felt unexpected, it felt low. It was like, oh, what's the problem? Like, why did I get, I was kind of sad, I was devastated. I did not even tell anybody my score. Like, obviously it's not possible that nobody will know at all, but you know, it's kind of stuff that I would literally always evade the question. Like when someone is like, oh Margaret, what did you get in jam? I'll say, oh, look at that stuff. Oh, have you eaten today? Oh, you know, that kind of stuff. Like I will always evade the question. Whenever someone wants to talk about, you know, how their jam center gist was, I will not even get into that conversation because I know that it will end with asking each other's scores. I never asked for anybody's scores because I didn't want anybody to ask for my score. Can you imagine that? I know somebody that, you know, probably got around that score less than would be like 254. It's not even bad. But I don't know, it was just not my standard. Let me put it that way, if you would allow me. Right. So I'll just evade the question. When the real jam came, I'm like, I'm not going to play, I'm going to put in effort, I'm going to do all of this. And then real jam, I get 264. So I did a bit better with like 10 marks or something, but I was still not happy. Like I felt like the least score that I would have had and would have made me excited or happy was 270. Like if I had 270, I would have felt like, okay, right, I really aced this jam. Well, that 260 was like, okay, you didn't do as expected and you didn't feel to, and that was how it was for to my parents too. And then for WAEC, I'm like, but I have to put in so much effort into this way because I wanted to go to a federal school, right? I was supposed, not like I wanted, but I was just supposed to go to a federal school, right? It just, yeah, I was just supposed to go to a federal school. Like my dad has subconsciously been putting it in my mind I was going to go to University of Ibadan. Maybe because he attended University of Ibadan. I don't know. And then somehow I've just developed this love or likeness for University of Ibadan because he'll tell us stories about his university days and they would sound so interesting because I think he was also involved in politics at a point or something. So I was like, oh my god, I'm not sure if these scores are great for federal unis, so I have to put in so much effort. The day WAEC results came out, it was the following day we left school. I think that was like, I think our VS was like 23rd. I don't know. The following day was when they released the WAEC results. So when my parents came to pick, you know, my brother and I from school, I was done with school. He was just done with this session. I told them, oh, WAEC result is out, and it was like, oh, when we get home, we're going to check it. Throughout the journey, guys, I was just praying. God, please. God, please. I spent the whole journey praying, like, God, please, let my WAEC result be good. Let my WAEC result be good. Anyway, when we got home, obviously, the first thing, my dad carried his laptop. We were about to check my WAEC results. And then we opened the WAEC, and I'm basking in bees. Bees. I think I had just one A or two A's, and the rest were just B's. don't I think I had one C. Yeah, oh my god, I cannot even say the subject that is seen. I'm ashamed of myself. So let's just move on. So on the average, the result was okay. My parents were happy, you know. My mom was glad, my dad was glad. We even killed one broiler chicken like that, because that time we even used to have chicken. Killed broiler for me. I'm like, I'm sure there was somebody out there that had 7 A's, I mean 9 A's. I can't remember how many subjects. I'm sure they not kill broiler for you. They killed broiler for me. We ate chicken over the results. Yeah, it was good. Everybody was happy. They were like, oh my god, congrats Maggie. You know, I'm like, oh, thank you. So we killed chicken. We ate. We drank. to my WAEC results, right? We celebrate success in my family. After WAEC, obviously, the next thing was PUTME. We had to start getting started. And you know that you have to consider the schools that you filled in your UTME form first, right? And I think that's what they use in considering you to first in order. So when I was filling it, I initially wanted to go to Abuad, that's Afe Babalola University, because of just one reason, please. That's because I just heard that that's the best university to study law in Nigeria. So I'm like, oh, since I want to study law, I want to study it in the best university in Nigeria and all of that. My dad was like, will you pay your school fees by yourself? Because if you're going to pay your school fees by yourself, then go ahead and fill the Abuad. But if you're not going to pay your school fees by yourself, right? University of Ibadan as a first choice, put Bowen University as a second choice. I'm like, Bowen University? I can't even have a problem with UI, but I'm like, Bowen University. And at that time, it wasn't like a novel university to us, right? Because my sister was already there. I'm just like, ugh, Abad or UI, please. So, Bowen was never in the plan. We started post-CTME preparation, and for some funny reasons, I don't know, am I the only one that did this? I wrote just one post-UTME. I wrote UTME to just one university. Who applies to university and applies to just one university? It's called confidence. Anyway, so I'm preparing for UI post UTME. I can really even remember those times. Oh, my siblings will be watching TV and me, I'll be sitting there in the dining reading. Why? Because I cannot watch TV because I have post UTME to write for UI. On the day of the post UTME, right? The day before, we already went to Ibadan. It was my mom. My dad was not around, so it was my mom and I that went to Ibadan to write the exam. We went the day before, and on the morning of the exam, we left early. But somehow, UI is so big that we didn't find the venue to the exam until they had started the exam. So when we got there, they had already started. I can remember what I was wearing. I was wearing one pink top and one jeans trouser and one pink and black sneakers that I bought for SS3 excursion. When I got there, people were already seated and all of that, but for some reason there was just one seat in front, like they were waiting for me. Anyway, so I sat in front and I wrote the exam. After the exam, rain just started falling. I'm like, oh, this is my sign. This rain is my sign. I'm going to pass this exam, right? So I don't know. I think it's a Nigerian stuff that you just attach unrelated circumstances to events that are going on in your life. So as we even living, it was still drizzling that time. All these UI boys, they were in school. UI students were in school that time. All of them just came out in front of their hostel because we had to pass in front of their hostel somewhere. And they were singing with their pot and spoon, drumming. I think Jambito. I can't even remember what they were singing. All of them shout. I'm like, why are these people looking like prisoners? Is this where I'm coming to? Bro, they're looking like prisoners because there was this like big burger in front of them. Then they were holding pots, drumming with their spoon and singing Jambito. Just looking. Rain beat us then, Kai, because we had to fly back again. Rain beat us. That day, we came back to Lagos. How was the exam? It was fine. I mean, that's what we say now. We don't say, oh, it was very bad. You not say, it was the best. It was just fine. Now, results comes out. And we are checking. We are loading and reloading. But it's not showing my name. I'm not seeing my name. I'm seeing people's name. I'm seeing names that start with A, names that start with Ade, but I'm not seeing Ade Peko Michael. We're like, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? We're just like, okay, maybe they release it batch by batch, and then we wait again, and there's nothing. I'm contacting my friend I knew they wrote UI post CTME too, and they've seen their results but me. I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? Why are we not seeing our results? So obviously, tell daddy, oh daddy, we result on my now. I haven't seen result. We used connect, men in high places. We can't find my daughter's results. They are releasing people's results, but they are not releasing my daughter's results. So men in high places take it up, and they contact the university or the vice chancellor somewhere in high places. And the vice chancellor is like, look for Adenukweko Margaret's results. And so I think some days after, they tell us that they haven't marked it. They have released the result though, but they find a pile of scripts somewhere. That's my result and some other people that are also worrying themselves somewhere why their results are not out yet. Meanwhile, UI packed our script, abandoned it somewhere, then marked the others and released it. Are they not supposed to even think that the number of results they released is not equivalent to the number of students that took the exam? But instead of them to look for it and sort it out, they just released that one. And they're like, okay, all the people that they released, there are thousands of them, they are enough for us to just admit them. I think that's what they thought. So they find my script somewhere with some other student scripts. So if you're among the people that wrote PUTME in UI in 2019 and did not first release your results, and you were part of the people that subsequently they released it, it's because of me. They pack all the results, they mark it, and now they release it. Now, mind you, at this point, everybody in the family, I'm not talking about my nuclear family now, everybody in the whole family knows that I wrote PUTME to UI, that they have released the results but not mine, that they finally find my script or marked with a pile of others. And now everybody is anticipating my results. They're anticipating to get, oh, what's it, what UI, oh, want to pull admission, oh. So now it's like fingers crossed. I have to pass because everybody is looking at me now. Everybody is looking at me now. They released the results. And I guess 67. 67 over 100. Now the pass mark for getting law in UI in that year, they increased it. Why? Because too many people wanted to study law and they didn't want too many people. Because the previous year, or I don't know, someone told me that the time they wrote their own, maybe that previous year, like 2 years before, that 67 was the benchmark, was the pass mark. So maybe because of the number of students that applied this time, because that year OAU was not admitting anybody for law. So I feel like people of that sort probably considered UI an option too, so we were just too many. They increased it to like 70 or 71 point something. It was like 3 marks. Like 3 marks to get law. 3 marks to get law. I'm sad. I'm devastated. I'm crying. I'm weeping literally. Because I'm like, I'm not going to study law in UI. Then everybody's telling me, oh, Sky, what political science now? Well, she political. I don't want political science. I want law. I don't want political science. You can do political science. This man, blah blah blah. You know, they will not start digging up people's history. Like, this man, he studied political science. Look at him today. He's doing great things. You can start with political science. Enter into law. I said, I don't want political science. I don't want to do post science. I don't want to do post. It's law, nothing, bruh. At that point, it was law, nothing. Like if I wasn't going to study law, I could not think of a second choice. Do you get? I could not think of it. I remember when I was doing A levels and we had to fill like one form that, okay, first course, second course, like if you don't get up to this course for your A level, let's say law now is like 13 points. So if you don't get 13 points for law, which other course should we give? That kind of stuff. I feel law in first and I feel law in the second. They flung the paper at me. Come on, change that. Anyway, so back to my, I'm like, no, I don't want to do political science. I want to do law. My mom was like, why are you crying? Are you okay? Come on, clean your face. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't want to do political science. I could not go to UI because I got 67 and yeah, just wasn't going to work. I think that I even tried like working it, but it just didn't work. So we're like, okay, which other one can we go to? At that point, there was no way I could write post-UTME for any school again, like not even that year, right? So we were considering, okay, Ajay Crowder, they were saying something like they still have space, you know, they were just trying to work it out for me, basically. So it didn't work out too because they don't want to admit more than 50 students or something like that. So oh, they already have 50 students. So they admitted first batch, admitted second batch, and they're like, oh, sorry, they can't collect me again. I'm like, you know what, guys? I'll just start studying for JAM for next year. I'm going to write JAM again next year. I'm going to write post-UTME again next year. And I'm going to get into school next year. I've accepted my fate. There's no school for me this year. And that's fine. So I've resoluted, okay, I'm going to write UTME again. So I think all this whole saga of like, oh, trying to find one school, trying to do this, just so that I can get into school that year, it was so mentally draining at a point. I'm like, you know what, you guys, just wrap it up. Don't worry. Next year, I'll write JAMB and I'll go in next year. So in October, I remember, ooh, in October, I remember I carried my UTME past questions book and all those stuff and new jotter. I'm about to start reading. You know that first page that you're like, you now write letter to God. Dear God, I'm about to write JAMB again. Please, next year, I want to pass and get admission. So may God help me. So help me God. Blah, 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 blah. You now turn the page and start on a fresh start. Right. So I started reading. I started with English. I don't know why I remember these details. And I just received a call from my dad. It's in November already, right? So the exam was in September. Then the whole saga of like having to wait so much for my UI results, having to see if other universities were going to work out for me. Everything was in October. So by November, I'm just like, you know what? Wrap it up, guys. I'll deal with it next year. So I'm reading, and then I get a phone call from my dad because it's not at home. And he's like, hello. I'm like, hello, daddy. He's like, pack your stuff. You're going to go in university tomorrow to start A levels. I'm like, what? How? What's A levels? Why am I going to Boe? I didn't even write the exam. Like, I had so many questions at once. Like, I've never heard about A levels. I've never heard about JUPE before. I'm going to university and I don't have to write an examination. It sounded strange. I'm like, I've never even considered Bowen, even with the fact that my sister was there. Like, okay, so A levels is this is the experience A levels. You're going to write exam. If you get the pass mark, you're going to go into 200 level directly to the course you want to study. That's law. I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. So what's the pass mark? And it's like 13. I'm like 13 over 20 because when you get 13, what do you think? 13, you're probably expecting maybe like 50%, blah blah blah. You just say 13. I'm like 13 over 20, and he goes no, 13 over 15. I say that's quite high, and he said yes, but I know you can do it. That was all, ladies and gentlemen. That was all I needed to do it. You guys should speak good stuff to people. Speak good stuff to people because you never know where it falls into. You know what I'm talking about. The slingshot theory. I've suffered. Admission saga. This. I'm not happy with my UTME score. I'm not happy with my post-UTME score. Admission stuff is not working out. And then someone tells me, you have a chance, but you have to get 13 over 15. And I'm like, that's quite high. And he says, yes, but you can do it. Like, in the midst of all of this, you still believe I can do it. And that's what I'm going to do. Do it. So that same day, my mom and I, we went to market. We bought everything I needed to start levels. Guys, it was just A levels. It's not law. Like, I'm not yet doing law of contract. I'm not even having classes in the college. I'm still doing literature, but in a harder form, of course. I'm doing government, I'm doing TRS, and my mom is buying me white packet shirt. She's buying me shoe. She's buying me black skirt. She's buying me suit skirt. But I don't know either. I don't know too. I'm not supposed to like. It's just a bungalow that nobody in the school even knows about, right? Because I remember one time in that school I misplaced, and I asked 1,000 people where the A-level building is, and nobody knew it. Like, it's so ostracized that they tell us, you're not students, you're not bona fide students. They tell us, we don't have ID cards. We don't. So we buy package share, we buy all those stuff. and I'm so excited, guys. I used to overdress it. You know, when people just wear slippers and top and shirt, me, I will come to class with packet shirt because that's what my mother bought for me, and I have to wear it. But well, it made me stand out though. I packed that night, and the next morning, we're off to Boy. It was such a dream because even when I was in the bus, I was just thinking, just yesterday, I'd written letter. God, please, I'm going to write next year. Please make sure I pass. And I'm like, now I'm going to start something I don't know about. I think this video is going to be just very long, so I'm going to end it here. I'm going to do a part 2. Like, I'm going to continue now, but I'm going to release it 2 different times. So it's going to be the same clothes. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video, which will probably be like 2 or 3 days time. So bye.